I recently did a video on a sweetener called erythritol. I posted it on this channel, and not long after I did the video, a study came out which suggested that erythritol can actually cause severe cardiovascular disease, heart attacks. The mechanism was supposed to be that it stimulated internal blood clotting. The formation of internal blood clotting is a major cause of myocardial infarction, heart attacks. Blood clots in the brain can cause a certain type of stroke called a cerebral ischemic stroke. So it sounded very serious. And I have to admit, after posting that video, it was a very positive video about erythritol. Erythritol is not really, some people call it, it's actually classified as a non-nutritive sweetener. It's not an artificial sweetener because it's found naturally in a number of foods, which I'll get to in a minute. And it's also actually made in the body. So it's not an artificial sweetener like aspartame or some of the others. It's a non-nutritive sweetener, meaning that it provides sweetening. It's 60 to 80 times as sweet as sugar. Anyway, I did this video, and this study came out, and I said to myself, "Oh man, did I goof?" Because my video about erythritol was largely positive. I pointed out some of the health advantages, and I suggested that erythritol is probably the best of the non-nutritive sweeteners, or one of the best, because it causes virtually no side effects, and it actually causes some positive effects, such as it's a natural antioxidant. Because of its structure, it's actually classified as a sugar alcohol. The problem with sugar alcohols like sorbitol and some of these others are when you take large amounts, they draw water into the intestine. They give you a raging case of diarrhea. I mean, really bad. Erythritol is different in that respect because it's basically almost excreted unchanged out of the body, so it does not cause diarrhea. It's still another advantage. But in this video, I wanted to explain why that somebody left a comment on my most recent video pointing out that this new study about erythritol, it's confusing people because erythritol is always supposed to be good, and now they're suggesting it could be dangerous. I'll give you a quick hint. This study was deeply flawed. I'll explain why, and it does not change my opinion at all about erythritol. But in this video, I wanted to compare two very popular sweeteners, and one of them I consider probably the best natural sweetener of all, and that is stevia. So I wanted to compare erythritol versus stevia. Is one better than the other? Which one should you use? And this and that. As I said, erythritol is a type of sugar alcohol. It's naturally found in foods like fruits and mushrooms, and it can be produced. It could be produced commercially by fermenting simple sugars that are found in corn with yeast. And it also, as I said, erythritol can be made in the body naturally from glucose, which is the only sugar that circulates in the blood. They sell erythritol powder straight. Most of the most of these sweeteners that you buy that are labeled labeled stevia are actually a combination of stevia and erythritol, and it's actually mostly erythritol rather than stevia. So they're actually found together. Stevia itself is a natural sweetener. It's derived from the leaves of a plant called Stevia rubaudiana. It's hard to pronounce, and that's native to parts of South America. It's often used as a sweetener it's used as an alternative to regular sugar. Some people say that they don't like the taste of stevia. I have never had any problem with stevia, but the type of stevia I use is, again, a combination of stevia and erythritol. My only use for this product is to sweeten my coffee. That's all I use it for. I don't use any protein drinks or anywhere else. I use an average of anywhere 2 to 4 envelopes a day. I use 1 to 2 envelopes in each cup of coffee. My coffee cups are much larger than average. They're like 12 There's something like 12 ounces. Each one of my coffee cups is equal to about 2 to 3 normal coffee cups. About 2 normal coffee cups. So it has to be sweetened. Anyway, what about the nutrient comparing nutrients between erythritol and stevia? Table sugar or sucrose contains 4 calories per gram. Erythritol contains just 5% of the calories that sugar contains. It only contains 0.2 calories per gram. As I said, it's 60 to 80% sweet as table sugar or sucrose. It's basically calorie free. I mean, it's impossible to get fat from stevia because it is calorie free. Stevia extracts can contain several different compounds and can be anywhere from 50 to 400 times as sweet as regular sugar or sucrose. Stevia does contain small amounts of certain vitamins and minerals, but unfortunately most of them are removed when stevia is processing. Stevia and erythritol, neither one of them can be looked at as a source of other nutrients besides sweetness. So they're not. That's what they mean by non-nutritive. Your body doesn't have the enzymes to digest erythritol. The sweetener is absorbed in the bloodstream and excreted through the urine unchanged. That's why it doesn't cause diarrhea. It has no effect on blood glucose. I'm talking about erythritol right now. And it doesn't affect insulin levels. Some people think that artificial sweeteners, boost insulin levels and they can make you hungry and stimulate eating. Well, you don't have to worry about that with erythritol. It does not do that at all. A 2018 animal study showed that erythritol can actually reduce blood sugar levels by decreasing the absorption of sugar in the blood, increasing the uptake of sugar by muscles, and altering the activity of several enzymes called disaccharides that break down sugar. So erythritol may actually block some of the negative effects of regular sugar. Those were animal studies, though. Stevia, on the other hand, is a good choice for people with diabetes because it does not increase blood sugar the same way that sugar does. According to a 2020 study that involved 34 people with type 2 diabetes, drinking 1 cup of tea sweetened with stevia daily for 8 weeks had no effect whatsoever on fasting blood sugar levels, insulin levels, or long-term blood sugar control. Another 2020 review reported stevia may actually reduce, just like erythritol, stevia can reduce blood sugar levels by preventing the synthesis of glucose in the body. Now that's a tremendous effect. That's even advantageous to bodybuilders who are trying to lose body fat. Several other studies suggest that stevia can help decrease triglycerides, which is fat in the blood. It can help reduce blood sugar, cholesterol levels. All of these things are risk factors for heart disease. Stevia is actually very healthy for you. There is some negative effects of stevia. There's some indication, which I intend to write an entire article on stevia because I can't go into all the health benefits of stevia in this video. Otherwise, the video would run too long. But there's a number of other health benefits of stevia that I will get into in my article on applied metabolics. I'll also discuss a possible negative effect of stevia on what they call the intestinal microbiome, or the population of organisms that reside in the colon, which produce tremendous health effects and health benefits. It's kind of iffy about whether stevia negatively affects that. I'll go into details in my article on applied metabolics, explain why some scientists think that's true and why it may not be true. So stevia is significantly sweeter than sugar, so you only need very small amounts. It can be used in baked goods. Some people, again, as I said earlier, don't like stevia because it leaves you with a slightly bitter, almost like a licorice aftertaste that can change the flavor of the final product. It depends on your sense of taste and your sensitivity to stevia. I personally don't notice that at all with stevia. As I said, I only use it in my coffee. Other people told me, when I mentioned stevia to them, they said, yes, I don't like stevia. It leaves a bad aftertaste in my mouth. Now, what are the possible side effects? Stevia is generally recognized as safe by the Food and Drug Administration. It's called GRAS or GRAS. And whole leaf stevia and crude extracts are not permitted for use as sweeteners. The whole leaf stevia and crude stevia extracts are not permitted for use as sweeteners and have been linked to some safety concerns related to fertility and cancer development in animal studies, but those are not used in the commercial versions. Whole leaf stevia is made from the entire leaf of the stevia plant. So these the types of stevia found at grocery stores all contain not the whole stevia, but what they call steviol glycosides, which don't have the negative side effects I just mentioned. The FDA has not designated erythritol as generally recognized as safe. They have for stevia, but not erythritol. But again, based on the existing research on erythritol, I think it is very safe. When a food manufacturer asked the FDA to affirm that erythritol is safe in 2018, the agency responded it had no questions regarding the validity of this claim. In other words, they're saying they know it's safe, but they won't officially say so. Don't ask me why. Now, as I said, a recent study came out after I published my video about erythritol. This study linked erythritol to adverse cardio events and thrombosis, like I said, which is the development of internal blood clots. But here's the problem. First of all, the study only had 8 participants. They were instructed to drink 30 grams of erythritol, which is a large amount, 30 grams of erythritol in water in less than 2 minutes, which is far more than is found in any foods, far more than anyone would use routinely, like to sweeten their coffee. And to make it worse, these people already had severe cardiovascular disease. They were already prone to getting blood clots. And as I said earlier, erythritol is made in the body. There's no real evidence at all. This study did not show that taking exogenous erythritol, or let's say commercial erythritol is found in the grocery. There's no evidence that using that caused any type of cardiovascular problem. It was a very poorly designed study that proves nothing. So as I said, they already had pre-existing heart disease. So it's what is it called? I can try to remember the exact term. Anyway, there's no direct cause and effect relationship between erythritol and causing blood clots or heart disease. When I looked at this study, like I say, I was a little bit hesitant, but when I read the actual study, which was offered online for free, and I saw who these patients were, and I saw what they did, making them drink a large amount, less than 2 minutes, I realized it was kind of a bogus study. It did not stop me from using erythritol one bit. I did not cut back on it. I still use the same amount. So erythritol is safe. Don't believe the fear mongers I've seen a couple of nonsensical YouTube videos warning how dangerous erythritol is. That's a bunch of crap. It's not true. But there's a old saying in pharmacology, only the dose determines the poison. In other words, you don't want to go crazy with either stevia or erythritol. If you keep it to moderate use, both of them are safe. And as I said, stevia actually and erythritol both actually, not only are they good sweeteners, but they offer a number of health benefits. So as far as that gut microbiome thing, that will have to be a wait and see situation to see how that turns out. But right now, I don't think that's anything to really worry about. So again, stevia and erythritol, if you're going to use sweeteners, those are your preferred ones. If you said to me which one would you prefer over the other, my personal choice would be stevia. Unfortunately, almost all, as I said, all the commercial stevia, just about, if you go in the supermarket, you read the label of the stevia sweeteners, it says, it'll say on the box, stevia, natural stevia. But then when you read the ingredients, you'll see that usually the FDA mandates that product ingredients go by order of content. And these so-called stevia sweeteners, the first ingredient is usually erythritol. And again, that's not a bad thing. But the thing is that I'm not sure why they even need to add erythritol to stevia, but they do. It's very rare to find a pure stevia product. I think they add the erythritol. I'm guessing it's probably because of that kind of bitter aftertaste that stevia imparts in some people. By adding the erythritol, it might balance out the bitter aftertaste so it's less noticeable or maybe even non-existent. That's only a guess on my part. I don't know the real reason. But I would choose stevia as my number one sweetener because not only does it work very well, but it has a number of health benefits, and it will actually help your body use glucose. It's actually fantastic for people having any kind of glucose problem. This is the preferred sweetener, and it's not going to hurt you. Now, again, I will talk more about that problem with the gut microbiome related to stevia more in my Applied Metabolics publication. I'll explain it completely so you'll understand. If I'm sure they're going to be looking into this further in future studies. As information comes out, I'll either write about it in Applied Metabolics or I'll make another video about it. But right now, I don't think that moderate amounts of stevia, based on the research that does exist, I don't think that it will really significantly harm the intestinal microbiome. And not only that, but if you take other measures that favor a healthy microbiome, such as eating a good amount of dietary fiber, maybe possibly taking prebiotic supplements, the bacteria supplements, or using fermentable foods like yogurt, kombucha, that type of thing. That's avoiding processed sugar, avoiding trans fats and bad fats. All that's going to nourish your intestinal microbiome, and I think it will protect you against any possible effects, negative effects that stevia might impart. That's my supposition. That's my feeling. I have no evidence. I just base this on what I know about the microbiome and how stevia might affect it. So that's about it for these. I thought this was an important video to make because of all the concern about that study. It just freaked out a lot of people because, like I say, erythritol is found in not just the non-nutritive sweeteners. It's found in a lot of food products, and a lot of people were freaking out thinking that it's going to cause heart disease and a heart attack. This kind of reminds me, just anecdotally, this reminds me of a study a couple of years ago where, the headlines that came out said, "Do not use vitamin E. It causes heart attack deaths, cardiovascular deaths caused by vitamin E." And then you read the study, and it turns out they gave a certain amount of vitamin E to people that had severe cardiovascular disease already. In other words, they were like ready. They had more than one foot in the grave. They were ready to go. So they gave them a small amount of vitamin E. I think it was 100 units. The type of vitamin E they gave was synthetic alpha tocopherol, which is not the best form of vitamin E. It doesn't benefit the heart. The type of vitamin E that benefits the heart is called gamma tocopherol. And because some people died when they were given the vitamin E supplement, they ascribed the deaths to vitamin E, which was ridiculous. Not only that, but the way they gave the vitamin E, they gave it with a glass of water. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble vitamin. Unless you ingest it with some form of fat, such as a little olive oil or fat naturally found in foods, the vitamin E will pass right through you. So vitamin E, what is that saying? I can't remember. Vitamin E did not cause that, but they structured it like vitamin E caused these people with heart disease to die. Had nothing whatsoever to do with it. You see a lot of these silly studies. Years ago, some researcher tried to say that vitamin C destroys vitamin B12 and can cause severe anemia from a vitamin B12 deficiency. Well, it turned out that vitamin C only affects B12 when it's added to a test tube. Large amounts of vitamin C are added to a test tube of vitamin B12. In the body, vitamin C has no effect on B12. So science studies are good, but a lot of them are flawed. So I'll leave it at that. If you want more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, ergogenic aids, effective fat loss techniques, supplement science, which ones work, which ones don't, ergogenic aids, women's health, hormonal therapy, such as testosterone therapy. I have an upcoming article where I'm going to talk about new research showing the best way to take testosterone as a replacement therapy. I'm going to go into details explaining why nobody's done this yet. It's only in my Applied Metabolics. In fact, the subject matter, there's one thing I forgot to say. I do cover women. Women's health and fitness is also in Applied Metabolics. But what I was about to say is I don't know of any digital publication that covers as many topics as Applied Metabolics. It's all in depth. It's for the intelligent reader. I don't recommend, I'm going to be honest with you and upfront with you. If you have an attention span of 10 to 30 seconds, which a lot of people do, sadly, you probably won't not like Applied Metabolics because it's extremely in-depth. Applied Metabolics is written for people that are intelligent and want to learn in-depth science-based, evidence-based information that basically gives them the kitchen sink, tells them everything they need to know about the topics that are covered. That's Applied Metabolics, and it's based on my over 60 years of study and experience, which I don't think anyone could match that. So subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. I also, by the way, have been a professional writer for going on 50 years. I have thousands of articles published. I know how to write for the public. I was a science editor of a major bodybuilding magazine for over 10 years. So I've written about all different types of topics. So my articles are very easy to read unless you're completely illiterate and can't read at all. And even that shouldn't be a barrier because they have these problems. They have these programs in Microsoft, whatever the operating system, where where the documents can be read to you by the computer, so you don't even need to know how to read. So subscribe today. There's no other publication that could equal. I don't care how much they charge. And by the way, my publication, Applied Metabolics, is one of the least expensive publications on nutrition, exercise that you'll find on the internet. And I haven't raised my subscription fees since I started the publication over 8 years ago. A lot of them, most of the other publications, charge three times as much as Applied Metabolics, or even more, and yet they have not even one third the information that Applied Metabolics presents every month. Again, www.appliedmetabolics.com. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter. Adopt a dog. They are the best. Thank you for listening.